I have a wonderful wife who has to listen to this stuff all the time. They do that for this reason.
If I'd just been found guilty of covering up a hush money payment to a porn star, I wouldn't be in a rush to get home to my wife either.
Is it right for scientists and doctors getting paid by the American people, government taxpayer paychecks, to get patents?
He's guilty of mass murder. I mean, Fauci he's an absolute monster. He should have his medical license revoked.
Trump sat for a chat with the gang at Fox and Friends, who provided 6 very warm and friendly shoulders for him to cry on.
They put this stuff in to create havoc. These are bad people. I know everything they're doing. I know every move they make. I get it.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
If you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these.
Yeah.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah.
Donald Trump has made history once again. This time, it's not for his controversial hairstyle choices or his Twitter outbursts, but for being the first U.S. president to be convicted of a crime. The former president of the United States has been convicted, and the repercussions are just beginning. This event is more than a major news story, it is a political earthquake that will undoubtedly reverberate throughout Washington. The pressing question now is what the future holds. Will Trump's loyal supporters continue to stand by him, or will they start to view him differently? One thing is certain, late-night hosts are going to have plenty of material. Following the guilty verdict, Trump attempted to garner sympathy, which Jimmy Kimmel humorously dissected in his show. In his first interview post-verdict, Trump spoke with the hosts of Fox and Friends, who seemed eager to offer their support. Kimmel highlighted the absurdity of the situation, portraying Trump as a desperate former president seeking comfort from his favored network. The real comedic moments came when Kimmel mocked Trump's explanations and denials. Kimmel's satire excelled as he exposed the contradictions and absurdities in Trump's statements. Kimmel also took aim at Trump's misunderstandings about climate change, turning a serious issue into a moment of levity. By humorously addressing Trump's ignorance, Kimmel underscored the importance of recognizing the realities of climate change. One of the most gratifying moments was when Kimmel called out Trump's blatant contradictions. For instance, when Trump denied saying certain things, Kimmel countered with a spot-on impression, showcasing his sharp satirical skills. Trump was not the only figure in Kimmel's sights that evening. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene also faced Kimmel's comedic scrutiny for her peculiar exchange with Dr. Anthony Fauci. Kimmel dubbed her the Klan Mom and mocked her line of questioning, which suggested that public health guidelines were a form of abuse against Americans. He humorously commented on her address to Mr. Fauci and her use of a prop that Kimmel jokingly referred to as the Cracker Barrel menu, emphasizing the absurdity of the situation. But Greene wasn't finished. After the hearing, she continued her tirade in the hallway, accusing Fauci of mass murder and branding him an absolute monster who should be stripped of his medical license and charged with crimes against humanity. The comedian empathized with Dr. Fauci for having to endure Greene's unhinged accusations. Kimmel particularly enjoyed Fauci's attempt to debunk conspiracy theories using references to Matt Damon movies. It was classic Kimmel, using humor to highlight the absurdities of the political scene. Greene wasn't the only target of Kimmel's sharp wit that night. The main attraction was, of course, Donald Trump. Kimmel delivered some of his most biting and hilarious jokes following Trump's guilty verdict. One standout joke was when Kimmel quipped about Trump crossing state lines while he still can, hinting that the former president might soon end up behind bars. Another memorable line involved Kimmel's suggestion that Melania Trump is probably reviewing her prenup repeatedly these days. Kimmel didn't stop there. He ridiculed Trump's claims about declassifying files, highlighting the irony that Trump's selective memory seems to forget about the Epstein files. Kimmel's analogy comparing rising sea levels to Trump's gelatinous belly in the bathtub was both gross and brilliantly funny, showcasing his talent for vivid comedic imagery. Kimmel also took aim at Trump's ardent supporters. The story about a Trump-plastered RV crashing into a pole was comedy gold, with Kimmel's punchline suggesting that bright isn't a word typically used to describe them. Perhaps the most damning moment came when Kimmel played clips of Trump lying about never saying "lock her up" about Hillary Clinton. The video evidence contradicted Trump's claims, and Kimmel's incredulous reaction underscored the absurdity of Trump's denials. Thank God this guy isn't in charge anymore. Kimmel's social media jabs at Trump and his family added an extra layer of humor. From pointing out that Trump follows everyone except Don Jr. Awkward to mocking their cringeworthy TikTok interactions, Kimmel once again proved his mastery in mining humor from the absurdity of Trump world. What made these jokes so effective? It's Kimmel's signature blend of wit, sarcasm, and fearlessness in calling out Trump's lies and hypocrisy. He has a knack for finding the funniest angles on even the most infuriating Trump antics, delivering punchlines that both entertain and speak truth to power. So, what does this guilty verdict mean for Trump going forward? According to Kimmel, it could be the start of some serious trouble, potentially even leading to his hardcore fans losing their minds if their dear leader ends up behind bars. One can envision the reaction of fervent Trump supporters in the wake of the guilty verdict, a mix of disbelief and outrage. However, Jimmy Kimmel doesn't believe that a guilty verdict will deter Trump. On the contrary, Trump is likely to continue making bold statements, causing disruptions, and potentially running for president again. It seems he remains undeterred by consequences, maintaining his stance regardless of the circumstances. Kimmel's political satire excels in this context. He fearlessly calls out Trump's inconsistencies and points out the absurdity and hypocrisy in his actions. For instance, Trump's claim that he never said lock her up about Hillary Clinton is contradicted by numerous recorded instances. Kimmel's satire goes beyond mere humor. It serves to hold those in power accountable and shed light on the darker aspects of the political landscape. In an era where truth can sometimes appear elusive, this function is particularly crucial. Despite the guilty verdict, it is unlikely that Trump will quietly retreat. As long as he remains active in the public sphere, Kimmel will continue his satirical commentary, using humor to highlight political truths. Laughter, in this sense, becomes a powerful tool. In conclusion, Jimmy Kimmel's satire and humor in response to Trump's guilty verdict underscore the significant role of comedy in political discourse. Kimmel's ability to combine sharp wit with incisive commentary has established him as a prominent voice against political absurdity. His monologues and quips not only entertain but also illuminate important issues, offering clarity amidst confusion. As the consequences of this verdict unfold, it is clear that satirists like Kimmel play a vital role in holding leaders accountable and exposing underlying truths. In a world where the boundaries between politics and comedy are increasingly blurred, the influence of satire in shaping public opinion is undeniably significant. With a twinkle in his eye and a spring in his step, Stephen Colbert launched into his monologue, comparing his euphoric state to that of the legendary James Brown. And why wouldn't Colbert feel good? After all, he had just received the news that Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, had been found guilty on all 34 counts in his hush money case. Colbert savored the moment, allowing the gravity of the situation to sink in for his audience. A former U.S. president convicted of a crime? It was unprecedented, historic, and incredibly satisfying for the late-night host. He couldn't resist adding a touch of his trademark humor, quipping about a fictional close call involving Martin Van Buren and a hot-wired horse. The audience loved it, their laughter mingling with Colbert's palpable joy. Yet, amidst the celebration, Colbert acknowledged there was more to the story: the courtroom scene, the reaction from the disgraced former president, and the potential fallout for the Republican Party. He had only scratched the surface, and his audience was eager for more. With a mischievous grin, Colbert prepared to delve deeper into the details of Trump's legal downfall. The judge had scheduled Trump's sentencing for July 11th. Colbert noted the irony: this date was just 4 days before the Republican National Convention. "It's going to be the RNC live from Cell Block B," Colbert joked, with a keynote speech from his warden, his cellmate Spider, and that one guard who smuggles in cell phones. And for the cocktail hour, enjoy complimentary toilet wine. The audience roared with laughter, appreciating the biting satire. The day after Trump's conviction, he staged a mini meltdown in the lobby of Trump Tower, lamenting, "If they can do this to me, they can do this to anyone." Colbert seized on this, agreeing with mock sincerity, "It's true. If it could happen to him, it could happen to anyone who commits crimes, no matter who they are." Trump also complained about the judge, saying he looks like an angel, but he's really a devil. "He looks so nice and soft." Colbert couldn't resist comparing this to the Pillsbury Doughboy. "He looks like a delicious angel, but his cans are full of lies." The audience's laughter echoed Colbert's satirical sentiments. As Colbert continued, the audience couldn't get enough of his take on Trump's verdict. The studio was filled with laughter and applause as Colbert mercilessly mocked the disgraced ex-president. It was a feeding frenzy of political satire, and the crowd was eagerly enjoying every moment. Colbert's razor-sharp wit perfectly reflected his audience's political views. These viewers were passionate about democracy and justice, and seeing Trump finally face the consequences of his actions was immensely satisfying for them. They cheered as Colbert skewered Trump's legal woes, their enthusiasm a clear sign of their frustration with the former president's antics and their eagerness to see justice served. However, Colbert's monologue wasn't just about taking cheap shots or going for easy laughs. He skillfully balanced humor with serious commentary, emphasizing the historical significance of a former U.S. president being convicted of a crime. He would crack a joke about prison life and toilet wine, then seamlessly pivot to the gravity of the situation, keeping the audience both entertained and contemplative. This was satire at its finest, and Colbert was the maestro conducting a symphony of mockery. He highlighted the glaring contradictions in Trump's statements, such as when the ex-president complained that they could do this to anyone. Colbert pounced on this, noting that if it could happen to Trump, it could happen to anyone who commits crimes. The audience's laughter was a cathartic release of the frustration they had felt watching Trump seemingly evade accountability for years.